Just south of Seneca Lake, surrounded by the vineyards and rolling hills of New York's Finger Lakes region, sits one of the true cathedrals of American motorsport. Watkins Glen International is more than a racetrack. It's where road racing in North America found its heartbeat. Since 1948, the sport's best drivers have come here to test speed, precision, and nerve. From stock cars to sports cars, legends have been made on this challenging ribbon of asphalt carved in the hills of upstate New York. Today, the Glen remains one of motorsport's most versatile venues, hosting the NASCAR Cup Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Craftsman Trucks, along with IMSA's 6-hour Endurance Classic, ARCA, SCCA, and SVRA competition. The modern 3.4-mile Grand Prix circuit blends history with intensity. It starts with Turn 1, the 90, a heavy braking right-hander in a prime passing zone. Then it's flat out through the S's, down the backstretch to the bus stop chicane, before flowing through the carousel in the fast final corners back to the front straight. From its origins on the village streets to hosting Formula One's United States Grand Prix and NASCAR's return in 1986, Watkins Glen has endured, evolved, and thrived, earning its place as one of racing's greatest stages. Tonight, the legacy continues. PSRA Open ARCA Series, Finger Lakes 122. And it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Finger Lakes, Watkins Glen International. I'm Steve Singer, joined in the broadcast booth once again by Chris Goins. How we doing, Chris?
Hey, doing well tonight, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Getting ready for this one. It's exciting. I'm happy to be here. I love this place in real life. It's fun here on the sim, too. But we'll take a look at the race details for this evening before we get into the fast times. 50 laps tonight, the distance, a 75% fuel load. 4 tire sets available, no fast repairs, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish. Weather-wise, we're looking 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 32% humidity, partly cloudy skies, a 12-mile-per-hour breeze, track temperature 70 degrees. Interesting note, we do have full course cautions turned on here tonight, so no local yellows to be thrown. That could play some havoc here tonight. We'll see how things play out, but it's all we can do. It is what it is. It's going to be a fun one nonetheless. Will Jones tearing up the track, though. Real fast times here in practice. Minute 9:75 for him. Teammate David Bradford, a minute 9:83. A.J. Rogers also in that 1 minute 9 category. Awful tight times there at the top of the board there, Chris.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It's this speed of this car is intense. A lot faster than I specifically anticipated. I haven't run this car at this track, so I'm curious to see how it races for sure.
You've definitely spent some time road course racing just recently off of the official iRacing Daytona 24. Some of that, I guess, can translate into even these stock cars. What can you take from that type of experience and dump that into a data set that's related to stock car racing?
Well, the fundamentals of road course racing stay the same no matter what you're in. So, especially a place like this, you've got some long straightaways and things like that. So, you definitely want to maintain as much speed as you can down those straights. So, one of my old adages that I've been taught for a long time ago was, slow in, fast out. So, you want to make sure you get the speed on exit rather than taking the speed on entry and then sacrificing it for that long run. So, these cars, stock cars typically take a lot, I would say a little bit more car control per se, because they don't have the ABS, they don't have the traction control, things like that to help supplement. But, this is where the drivers really shine in these stock cars for sure.
Another note I want to make about tonight's layout. We talked a little bit in the open about the Grand Prix circuit at 3.4 miles. The short circuit, which is the very original permanent road course that F1 used when the U.S. Grand Prix came here in the early 60s. That was about 2.3 miles. There were some modifications to it in the 70s, which changed the layout just a bit. But this long chute here is part of the original course. 2.45 miles is the short course around here. The boot section of the racetrack that the sports car series and F1 used, and even IndyCar for a period of time. Not in use for the NASCAR weekends, though. Man, I'd love to see them try and run that one day.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting to check that out.
Well, practice complete here at the Glen. We're going to get right into qualifying here momentarily. And another piece of information, Brian Rose in the chat says he ran 4 races today. Mind blown. Wow. Brian Rose really hasn't run a whole lot lately. It'd be good to see him back behind the wheel, maybe even here in the PSRA.
Yeah, we got to work on getting him back on the track. He tries to hold himself out, but we'll get him back on here one day.
AJ Rogers on the speedway. First to get out. Qualifying will be 2 laps or 5 minutes, whatever comes first. So anybody that's going to make an attempt here better get to it sooner than later. AJ Rogers through turn number 11. We're going to call this 11. I know some broadcast channels may call it 7. I count the corners in the bus stop. And if you look at your ticket when you're at the racetrack, it says turn 11 grandstand. So that's what we're going with. A wiggle for Rogers on exit at turn 1. Chris, what's your approach to turn number 1, whether it's in stock cars or sports cars? Is it try to really back up that entry into that first corner to kind of have a longer run on throttle all the way up through the S's?
Yeah, pretty much. I personally have noticed in racing with a lot of different people, my entry is a little bit different. I take a little bit more of a shallow entry to 1 for whatever reason. I don't necessarily do it on purpose. It's just what I usually do. And so whereas they're kind of sweeping that first corner, I'm kind of hitting the apex early and kind of launching myself off, even sometimes a little bit over that rumble strip, which is not technically outside of track limits right now. So
speaking of track limits,
the main thing, right? Yeah, exactly. So it just keeping up that speed through the S's and just trying to go through there as fast as I can out of 1.
First across the line, AJ Rogers locks in a time of 1:10.84. Not the fast he ran in practice, but still not too shabby. But Corey Bigley's going to top it on his first time around by about a full 1/10 of a second. Bigley is 74, and that lap is going to probably go away. I'm not sure what the track limits there are in turn 1. It used to be that was an off track and would invalidate the lap. We'll see if it counts this next time by. If it does, well, that'll be the answer to our question. And 3 minutes into qualifying, it says it's over. Not sure what happened there. Looks like Bobby Hamilton Jr., one of the admins, has advanced the session. I don't know if it was inadvertent or not, maybe clicking the get in car feature, but either way, I guess qualifying is in the book, so we're going to line up in order of I rating. Corey Bigley will be on pole position. All right, well, let's get to it. Starting grid for tonight's race here at the Glen. The Finger Lakes 122 on the pole position. The only one really locking in a complete lap outside, I think, AJ Rogers, is Corey Bigley, 1:10.74. And Bobby Hamilton Racing's AJ Rogers will be outside pole, missed it by a 1/10 of a second. Bobby Hamilton Jr. will roll off in the 3rd spot. Jeremiah Holt starts in 4th. Starting 5th, the 88 of Drew Blaze. 6th goes to Will Hewitt. 7th starter will be the Lone Star Racing driver of Ken Couch. Vincent Short rolls off in the 8th spot. 9th starter Brandon Minnick. 10th goes to Derek Runge. Will Jones, the 46 Bradford Aeroworks driver, fastest in practice, will start 11th. Rodney Roberts will roll off 12th. 13th starter, it's Chris Klein from Outcast Motorsports. Steve Luttrell will start 14th. 15th is David Bradford. 16th, Dominic Bettini. 17th belongs to Mark Truxell. Justin Johnson in the 10 will start 18th. 19th starter will be Frank Griffin. Josh Ingram, 20th. 21st, Colt Ansley. Alan DeFries, 22nd. Matt Nicholson, 23rd. And shotgun on the field in the 3 machine, it'll be Terry Wilson. Your starting grid here from the Glen. Starting off a little different here, but hopefully the race goes off without a hitch. Well, Chris, you got a pick for the win?
This is going to be tough. I've never seen hardly any of these guys on the road course. Let's go. You know what? I'm taking Bigley in the 58.
Corey Bigley in the 58, a solid pick. We'll start first by way of I rating with the session completing early. It did have a fast lap, so we'll see how things play out in that department. I'm going to go with Will Jones, fastest in practice. I've raced against him here at the Glen. He's always a hard charger and a contender. I run really well here at the Glen, and he made me work for it every time. So I'm going to go with the 46 of Will Jones in that Bradford Aeroworks machine. Even though he's starting 11th, may have to work a little bit of strategy. Speaking of strategy, Cole Dansley, one of those drivers likely to work on strategy here tonight in some form or fashion. No stage breaks per se, but he may find a way to come in a little early, take the tires, and work his way through the field with clean track out ahead of him and make up ground that way. So keep an eye on the 86.
Yeah, he has a good chance considering you're not on the track, right?
Yeah, as long as I'm not behind him, I guess. Race details yet again, 50 laps the distance here. 75% fuel, should be roughly 22 laps on a full load. Some drivers may be able to stretch that. Road course racing does yield a lot of opportunity to lift and coast. Multiple turns, way more than these ovals that we typically run on, so there's lots of chances to get off early and brake a little bit later. Got 4 sets of tires over the wall, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if necessary. Field working off at turn 11. The pace car is in. Barney with the green in hand. And there it is. Green flag is in the air. We're underway from the Glen. Bigley takes the lead down into turn number 1. Rogers swings wide off turn number 1. Sets up well the 58 into the S's. Little shallow entry. Swings a little wide but straightens it out. Bobby Hamilton Jr. having an issue initially here, not sure where it happened or how it happened. He started further up the line. He's running in the 15th spot now as he takes the spot back from Cole Dansley off the carousel and around Steve Luttrell off the carousel corner. He's in trouble. Quickly exits to pit lane, no caution, and we stay green. Bigley's going to lead lap number 1, enjoying a half-second margin back to the 1 of A.J. Rogers. Rogers, of course, running that number 1 this season due to his championship last year. Kind of an ode back to Grand Prix racing where the champion would run the single number the following season. Brandon Minnick was a little out of shape coming off turn 4 up through the S's. Got away with it, kept it straight, but Will Jones quickly knifing his way through the field. He's up to the 6th position.
So one thing I noticed here going through the carousel here, Steve, looking at the leaders here, a little bit different than I'm normally used to maybe as far as seeing it myself or doing it, is how wide that they do take that carousel. Usually I'm right down along a curbing there. So seeing these guys, I wonder if it's the car related, if it's just their driving style, something like that. But how do you usually take the carousel
As far as entry or exit?
one of these cars? And just kind of throughout the whole corner. So on that last one, and you may see it here, as you see a fight for the lead here with Rogers going by Bigley going into the S's. But you know, they're taking it wide entry, but also just kind of wide around the carousel as a whole. They're not even close to the curb, at least the last time.
Well, in my experience, I tend to take the carousel with a kind of a middle of the track approach, not so much wide, not so much shallow. Also depends on how fresh the tires are, how aggressive I can get with turn in. I see where AJ was. That's about as far up as I'll go, but Bigley's running the line that I would typically take, but now he washes out just a bit. I try to keep the right front pinned on that inner curb because there's a lot of grip to be had there. I don't know if that's changed over the handful of updates that have happened here, but yeah, there's usually a lot of grip there. If you can just kind of dip the right front onto that inside curb, it really helps the car corner.
Yeah, and see, that's kind of what I figured, and that's kind of how I run it too. Is kind of hug that curbing, so it just kind of maybe get pushing a little hard there early on cold tires and stuff. Maybe it got a little wider than typical, but it's just fun to see these guys battling it out real hard here at the front.
Top three all together. Drew Blaze said it in the chat earlier. Says, I'm not going to lie to you, I might see a starting park for me tonight, but he's up in that third spot, and he's running okay lap times. In fact, his last lap, 1:11.16. That was faster than the race leader, AJ Rogers, and about 0.4 faster than Corey Bigley. Keep in mind, though, Will Jones in the number 46, he's up to fourth, and he has the fastest lap of record so far, 1:10.89, in that Bradford Aeroworks machine. Change for the lead possibly as Bigley goes to the inside turn 10, but thinks better of it. Tucks back behind Rogers. Let's go on board here with Corey Bigley as he tries to hunt down the race lead. We're going to give a lap around the Glen from the driver's eye of Corey Bigley. There's that grip we talk about, Chris. He got more than he wanted to there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sitting there watching. Oh, as you see, Drew actually takes the inside. They're going in the bus stop.
Bigley having trouble here as these tires get hot.
Yeah, for sure. And I was looking at the gearing coming up through the S's. Now, like I said, I don't have a bunch of experience in this ARCA car, but in other cars, I'm usually watching him use third gear all the way through. I'm usually upshifting fourth early to kind of limit that tire slip going through there. So,
Bigley in trouble in turn 10.
What a save. A heck of a save, though.
But yeah, Chris, as far as the gearing going up through the S's, I'm with you. Usually I don't grab fourth gear until I'm past the apex of the final corner, turn 4 of the S's. You really just hammer down there, but it can get tricky, especially on older tires. The back tires get hot, especially those drivers that like to run a lot of rear brake to help slow the car down and kind of pitch it into the corner. It can create extra heat in those rear tires, make it a little free on exit and on the power, so you really got to be quick with the steering.
Yeah, and when you have big slides like you saw Bigley have there, that really makes those tires angry. And if you don't work on cooling those back down, then it's a miserable run for a while.
Not a whole lot you can do to cool them down other than maybe roll the brakes back to the front for a while, suffer the lap time to cool the tires. Meanwhile, we're going to have a battle for the lead. In fact, we already got it. Will Jones already up to the second spot after just 6 laps. True Blaze holding his own here at the Glen. A couple car lengths over Will Jones. We know Will had the short run speed. We saw it in practice, but does he have enough for the long haul? You see the back end step out on the 46 just a bit as the leaders are running down lap traffic already. Terry Wilson first in the iron sights of Will Jones as they get into the bus stop. Got to be careful. Almost want to sacrifice, and there it goes. Terry Wilson to the bottom of the track, keeps it pinned down there right to the grass, doing all he can to make sure he doesn't interfere with the leaders. Now you got to be careful here. You don't want to be too slow if you're trying to let people by because they can run right up your backside here. Now Terry goes wide, uses all of that paved runoff that used to be grass back in the day. Good job by Terry staying out of the way. Will Jones now to the race lead. 8 laps go up on the tower. Frank Griffith trying to stay out of the way at the bottom as well. Jeremiah Holt now in the 5th position. He's running it as wide as possible. That's not a bad way to go there. It didn't work out for him because Bradford was to his inside, but as long as you're not getting it off track for it, that's a real great way to straighten out the entrance to turn number 2 and lift a little bit less on throttle. So you can carry more speed, kind of take away the radius of that corner and carry it up the hill.
Yeah, and I did notice that they have updated the track limits for turn 1, so doesn't typically give you an off track for something like that nowadays.
So fair game off the exit of turn 1. That makes sense. I know even NASCAR has tried to tamp that down a bit with some modifications to the track surface. A couple years back, not last year, the previous year, they've added some pretty significant, I guess you could call it, ruts into the runoff area, trying to slow the cars down, but it didn't seem to affect anybody. I want to give a call to David Bradford here. He's up into 5th. He has also gained 15 positions since this one got underway. Well, with Will Jones out in front, we'll try and go on board yet again as Will might be starting to battle some tire wear and tire temperature, but he's comfortable with clean air out in front. We'll go on board with the driver, the number 46, for a single lap. See what he can come up with around this road course. Kind of look pretty textbook to me, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking as I was watching it, just how smooth Will looks under braking is the main thing. No exaggerated wheel movements, anything like that. No real slide or anything getting into the corner. Just how smooth under braking. It's pivotal in this place because if you start to slide, wheel hop, downshift wrong, things like that, really throws away the momentum.
One thing I noticed only slightly different than how I would approach a lap. Again, this is a different setup. Gearing can be changed slightly. That may affect things as well. But typically, the turn 10, 11 section of the racetrack, I may grab third gear on the acceleration down to that final right-hander, and I will run third gear through that corner all the way down the straightaway. Some guys may grab second. We saw Will Jones kind of keep it in second here in turn 10 and just wound it right out to the chip as he got down back into 11 here. But different styles for different guys. I know it gets a little hairy on throttle on exit if it's in that second gear, but I don't know. Will Jones has got some pretty good car control. I'm sure he can hang on to it.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I like using third gear a lot. Sometimes, and you're gonna laugh at me. Sometimes I'll even hold third gear in turn 1 just to, and the main reason is because I know for the long run it's gonna save those rear tires. So I don't have to worry about putting much power down, especially if I'm not getting any pressure from behind. I know he's got Drew right up behind him, within about a second. But with the higher gear, I'm not worried about spinning the tire. Oh, see Terry off in the post up.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about third gear into turn 1 and on exit is, it does save some tire, and it's okay, I think, if you're trying to go on a fuel save, but at the same token, you sacrifice so much exit speed, and you pay for that all the way into the bus stop when that happens. So it takes a lot of time off your lap.
For the first few laps, it does, but then when your tires are that much better than everybody else's, you really aren't trying to catch the car all the way through the S's either. So.
Terry Wilson in trouble again, it appears. He's gone around the exit at turn number 10, trying to get straightened out. Traffic is coming. Art Truxell. A moment ago, I think Dominic Bettini also had an issue. We'll go back and take a look at this quickly. This is into the bus stop. Just tank slaps it a little bit, over rotates. Saw Dale Sr. do the same thing years ago, except he ended up backing into that tire pack. Jeremiah Holt on pit lane. So this is a bit early for the fuel allotment. 22 laps is expected out of a full tank. Left side tires going on. They pit the cars opposite here on this road course as they run clockwise. 4 tires and fuel for Holt. Good stop, 14.77. He's back in action. Out front, Drew Blaze in the tire tracks now of Will Jones. Top 2 really checking out from everybody else. A.J. Rogers, who again had plenty of pace in practice, now almost 5 seconds in the rears in third spot. He's just getting off the carousel now. Corey Bigley in tow. David Bradford, though, still working his way through. He's on a charge to the front. And the 56 of Ingram goes wide. Rejoins the racetrack. Some guys just do not enjoy road racing. That's the thing with this series. It's predominantly oval-based. I believe the only road course on the series this year on the schedule. Contrary to last week, David Bradford picked up the win, as you saw here on Track Limits Network yesterday afternoon at Talladega Superspeedway. He's not a big fan of the Superspeedway racing, but he does do quite well at it. That's kind of the opposite here in road racing, is you kind of have to love it a little bit because it takes time. You got to put the work in. You got to turn the laps to get better. You got to have those reps. And if you're not enjoying it, there's really no incentive or motivation to go out and get better.
It really taps into a different type of driving too. So if you can get better at road course, you're really kind of coming full circle with a whole different ability there. It makes you better all over them. In my opinion, even on the ovals with car control and things like that.
That's just it. It's like most of the guys here. We got trouble. Gory Bigley in the wall. Off turn 11. Looks like a single car incident, but he has gone around. I think he made contact with that safer barrier, the exit at turn 11. Let's take a look what just happened a moment ago to the 58. Ran a little wide off 10. Crosses over. Does he get in the grass? Oh, no. Steps out a little bit on entry. But this is on the power coming out. And then overcorrects the other way. Pretty big hit. And David Bradford gets right into him. I didn't realize David had hit him. It looked worse than it was. I know David got him, but I don't think it was that hard of a hit. We'll have to see if the 13 machine is really affected terribly by that. Still running in fourth. Last lap for Bradford, minute 11:87. Now that's a full second plus of what Will Jones ran last lap, but again, Bradford slowed his momentum there, got on the brakes where he should have been on the power, so we'll have to see what this next lap looks like. Damage doesn't look too severe on the 13. And Mike Fahey in the chat cheering on the LSR guys tonight. No practice this week for me. Come on, Mike. You can at least come out and wreck for the fans. Well, I think David Bradford's just fine. He ran 0.2 faster than leader Will Jones the last lap around, so he's fine.
Yeah, maybe that little bump just made him faster.
Maybe cleaned up the nose a bit, took a little drag out of the front of that Toyota Camry.
Mm-hmm.
So Will Jones now starting to increase his lead over the 88 of Drew Blaze as we're just a handful of laps away from green flag pit stops here at the Glen. Chris Klein on pit road a little early. I wish there was a mod that we could add to this thing to make the goal bowling signs in the back say Winston Cup.
Taking it back the old school.
You know, make it applicable only when the 87s run here or something like that.
Yeah.
So Klein down and away, 4 tires and fuel. Not the greatest stop, 15:52. Vincent Short running in P7 after an 8th place starting position, trying to run down Brandon Minnick in the 81. So Matt Nicholson runs way wide after number 1. Now Short, he's been at this iRacing thing for quite some time. In fact, speaking of drivers that I've dumped over the years, it was Vincent Short down into turn number 1. Got onto the brakes about 100 feet further, or sooner down the racetrack than I typically would. I got right into the back of him and turned him around, and that was, well, that's how I've met Vincent Short.
Well, in your defense, I'm sure you've gotten it back from him tenfold.
You know, I might be one of the few guys that can say this, but I haven't really had a whole lot of run-ins with Vince other than me turning him here.
Well, I can make the joke as a teammate. I've been wrecked more by one teammate than I have all the other teammates combined. But no, Vince is a good guy. I love racing with him. He doesn't seem like I've been able to run with him as much here recently, but I think he's an awesome racer. He's fast. He's aggressive, which isn't always a bad thing. As you see him try to make the move there to the inside of Minnick, but he's just a lot of fun to race around. Good teammate to have as well.
Vince has definitely upped his game and his road racing talent level over the years. He's really put in the work. Throws back to the Superior Class Auto Racing GT1 series, and then I think we ran Radicals, and we ran a couple of different road course series, and every time we did, he got just a bit faster each and every time, jumping in practices, trying to learn from guys like Zach Millett, even myself a bit. And he listens. He takes the information for what it's worth. I think his issue is just trying to keep patient when he's trying to make a pass. As you see, Minnick gives him the opportunity here off the carousel. He was a little aggressive there in turn one at the beginning of this lap, tried to stuff it in there, but there really wasn't a hole for him to do so. You saw him lock the wheels up a touch. Minnick thinking that this is the better part of survival here, just let him go because he is faster right now. Speaking of Minnick, that might explain why I let him go. Coming to pit lane, so is Mark Truxell. So another 4-tire change for Mark Truxell, likely the same out of Brandon Minnick. And Minnick, maybe too fast on entry. No, couldn't get it in gear. Something to miss there on the 81. Minnick's going to lose a few spots. About 5 seconds extra in the pit box with an unknown issue for the 81 Mustang. Ken's water hauling on board. Bradford continues to march forward. He's up now to the third position, gets around the 08 to Ken Couch. Couch, the first car, 1 lap down. Brazen move by A.J. Rogers, not willing to wait to get clear of the 08. David Bradford, the fastest car on the racetrack right now by about a full tenth over everybody else. So the question now, Chris, is how long do these guys stretch the fuel? They're going to have to make a stop now, and if it runs green to the end, they're going to have to make a quick splash and go. So looks like David's going to come down now. So will Will Jones, Drew Blaze, A.J. Rogers, the leaders on pit road here. 28 laps to go at the Glen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you run this one as far as you can from a fuel standpoint. And you said the fuel mileage was around 22?
About 22 laps, correct, on a tank.
Okay, so, you do that and doing the math, that'll get you about 6 or 7 laps to go. You can theoretically come in just for a quick splash. I know you'll have some guys probably pit early, take some tires just to see if they can make up some time on new tires. But if I'm Will, maybe I've got the car to beat and can maintain this set of tires, come in and just take a splash there at the end, get rolling. I think that's what I'm probably.
See, the mindset for me as far as strategy goes. With 28 to go, knowing I can go 22 laps on a full tank, I like to have fresh tires, especially if I'm a fast guy out front. I don't need to worry too much about track position. I may split this final stage, if you will. It's not really a stage per se, but let's break it down. 28 to go. It's 14 laps, come back down, make that final pit stop, take 4 fresh tires again, and then you can kind of hammer down all the way to the finish.
And in a lot of cases, I agree with that. One thing that I do think about is how spread out everybody is, depending on the league and stuff like that. So if you come out with fresh tires, you're kind of mid-pack, so you're having to fight your way through the pack a little bit. So for me, if I'm in the lead and I know that I've got some clear track ahead, I'm probably putting faster laps down doing that than I am trying to fight my way through traffic. So that's one thing I take into consideration too when it comes to stuff like that.
Meanwhile, Vincent Short on pit road, and he's got a black flag here. I'm not sure if he didn't get to pit speed or an unsafe entry, but either way, he's going to sit and wait for 40 seconds. A race killer for the 15.
And this pit entry is so tricky because 40 miles an hour is so slow after you've been running for 20 plus laps out there. Got let go quickly.
Still showing a black. I'm curious what the penalty will end up being for Vincent Short.
But going back to pit speed, it's so tricky because you do have a kind of a downhill dive on pit road, so you have to really monitor your speed. Pick up speed going down the hill.
Through the pit cycle, Drew Blaze has retaken the top spot. He went fuel only, 6.65 seconds over Will Jones, gives him a big cushion of 6 seconds back to the 46, knowing there's going to be one more stop to be had before this is over. Does anybody think Blaze can run this to the end without taking another set of tires? Cole Ansley in trouble. Let's look at turn number 1 here for the 86. Gone around for sure. And maybe he wasn't alone. Bigley coming up to speed as well. Let's see what happened here just a moment ago. Down into the 90. The old wheel hop.
Yep. I was going to say, that looked like maybe a classic case, the old quick downshift.
You know, 2 different issues, too, because Bigley went around right after. Let's watch what happened here to the 58. Oh, he locked it up on entry. Watch the tire smoke. Gets over the rumble strip there, and it's
he caught
off
that
camber.
curb wrong. Yeah.
Bigley not wasting any time, though. He's back on the attack, trying to take 5th place back from Cole Ansley. Runs it wide again. Got to be careful on the gas. You know it's in his mind. He runs it real wide to avoid it. He's going to lose this spot, but now he's got momentum. But Will Hewitt there in the mix with him. This is all for position. Ansley's going to win the race up the hill. Bigley will lose 2 spots in just a few corners. So 24 laps to go. We're past halfway here at the Glen. We're going to step aside, get our track limit side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Watkins Glen, 21 laps to go. Drew Blaze continues to lead. High hopes for the Lone Star Racing team members. Will Jones in second and actually losing ground to the leader. It was 4.9 when we went to break. It's 5.4 now. And interestingly enough, Chris, Drew's out there on his original set of tires.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing about those being on that original set is he didn't have to worry about them coming up the temp at all. They were already hot when he, warm tires whenever he came back out on the track, so he knew what they felt like, so he could get back to it. Whereas those guys behind him, Jones and Bradford and those guys, they've got to build some heat up in those tires. So there's something to be said about having those tires already warmed up. I wonder if he's hitting here. Yeah.
Drew Blaze, 21 to go. He'll come down, knows he's in that fuel window.
Yeah. Probably see him take 4 here if he's coming in this early. If he ran it all the way out, I was thinking, wonder if you'd see him take just 2 left sides, but coming this early, I think this is going to be a 4-tire stop.
He was running some quality laps there, but now David Bradford jumps up into the race lead. Yep, 4 tires and fuel for Drew Blaze. The so-called start and park of the night. He's led some laps here tonight, certainly still in contention. Will Jones on pit lane as well for his final stop.
Fuel only, huh? Wow.
Well, for him it makes sense because his last pit stop wasn't all that long ago, but a black flag shown for Will Jones as well. What could this be? I don't remember seeing what ended up happening to Vincent Short, but he's shown back in the 12th position now, so he may have had something, whether it was a stop and go, pass through, something. So David Bradford now, the race leader. Drew Blaze only lost one spot in his pit stop. He's out there with fresh tires, keep in mind. Bradford's last stop was at lap 22, so he will still need to make one more stop for fuel unless we catch a caution and he can stretch it a little further. But he's got a 22.5-second lead on second place right now. You hear David really working the throttle there in the middle of the carousel. You know, we talked a little bit about how smooth Will Jones was on the brakes, but in some instances you kind of got to play with the throttle mid-corner, especially there in the carousel. It's kind of a complete turnaround, but it's also a downhill. It's kind of hard to see that on the broadcast, but you go out there, it's pretty considerable downhill. So the car's cambered in, which is good, but you're going down the hill, you're picking up speed. Sometimes it gets a little hard on the left front. May turn better than you want it to, depending if you get it on that curbing. But in other cases, if it's a little tight through that corner, a little understeer, you can kind of poke the throttle a bit to get the rear end to step out on you. It does work. Meanwhile, Vincent Short in trouble. Off turn number 1, and he'll tow to pit lane. Just a moment ago, down into turn 1, Vincent Short in trouble. Not sure what happened there. Seemed okay through the apex, but it just kept on turning. Cole Ansley to make his final stop. Does appear that Will Jones is out of it. I think that penalty enforced and his day is done. So David Bradford now setting his sights on 2 in a row. I don't know if he can make his pit stop quick enough to get back out without losing the lead. He does have 24 seconds there on Drew Blaze, but David just ran his fastest lap of the day, 1:09.83, and that's the fastest lap of the race. Chris Klein around in the carousel exit. Careful coming back on. Let's see what happened to Klein here a moment ago. A little wide on exit. Too much wheel into it. Don't think he hit anything. If he did, it wasn't very hard.
I don't know if we mentioned it, but it looks like Will Jones did come in and serve the penalty that he had now a couple laps ago.
Yeah, I think since then he may have exited the session because Jones shown back in 17th now. Speaking of Wills, Will Hewitt having a moment out there as well. Also turn 1. Transition there's a little sketchy. Goes off camber. Just hits the inside wall just past the flag station. He'll go right to pit lane. So now we've only got 3 cars still on the lead lap. Bradford, Blaze, A.J. Rogers, and they're separated by almost a lap. 24 seconds back to second, and A.J. Rogers 57 seconds in the rears. With David Bradford still needing to make one more stop for a splash of fuel. Chris, I got to ask, I mean, he's probably just going to go fuel only. We're about to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are. He may, with 16 to go. Maybe he takes 2, but I think you're going to see fuel. Especially with him running the lap times he's been running, he doesn't have the fall off. So, and as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Bradford clean into the box. Fuel only for the 13. 6.4 seconds. Probably would have added 2 more seconds to the pit stop if he threw lefts on, but he just ran his fastest lap of the day just a couple of laps ago, so I think he may be all right. Might suffer a little bit here at the end, but he's still in the second spot. 4 seconds back now of Drew Blaze, who's done pitting, put 4 tires on his pit stop. This might be the strategy that wins him this race, Chris.
Yeah, I think he set himself up in a real good position to be able to bring this one home.
Drew Blaze for the time being with clear sailing ahead and no pressure from behind for the time being. Bradford trying to run down Chris Klein. Klein running in the 8th position, but Bradford's still got to get clear if he wants some clean air on the nose. Run this thing caution-free so far. Certainly not what I had on my bingo card. David's going to need a run here out of the S's to set him up for the bus stop. I don't think he's close enough to do it. Klein pulls down to the bottom of the racetrack. I don't know if this is defensive. No, he's letting him go. So Bradford, even through all that, has cut into Drew Blaze's lead. And I got to wonder, Chris, is Drew just trying to save a little bit for the end here?
I don't know. Drew is really good at saving when he needs to. Really good at being fast in the long run of it, but Bradford's just been fast. So I think Bradford may just be up on the wheel, just flat out trying to run him down.
Good solid lap out of Drew Blaze, minute 10:31 as Bradford crosses the line faster, minute 10:18. Oh, big wiggle through the S's for Drew Blaze. That almost ended in disaster. That is not where you want to have that happen. You've got no room for error if you want to wash that car up the racetrack. You're going to wad it up into the garbage can. So with these lap times, Chris, I don't see David running him down unless Blaze continues to make mistakes. We saw one just a moment ago.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that Drew is I think he sees Bradford closing in a little bit. I think he's putting it down a little bit harder. I think that might be a little bit of what you saw there through the S's. You saw a little bit of a wiggle carousel as well. So I think Drew's just kind of giving it a little bit harder here at the late stage of the race and trying to keep that gap. It looks like he's kind of maintaining that gap right about 3.5 seconds. So I don't know if Bradford's got the time to catch him. As I say that, I'm not sure exactly what may have happened to Drew, but Bradford closed in, but looks like 2 seconds.
Well, Bradford ran a minute 9:99, so he's getting after it.
Yeah, I think Drew may have had an issue in turn 1 or through the S's. Because Bradford gained about almost 2.5 seconds on him in a lap.
11 laps to go here from the Glen. The leader being stalked by the 13 of David Bradford. Bradford ultimately started this race back in the 15th position with a little issue in qualifying for the whole field, that is. Not likely where David expected to start this race, but had to make do with what he had landing in his lap. Yeah, Chris, I don't know what happened. He lost 2.7 seconds to Bradford on that previous lap. A minute 12:91 for the 88. Now it's less than a second as they roll through the carousel, coming to 10 to go.
Yeah, it looked like something happened somewhere between turn 1 and the top of the S's, I think, and allowed David to catch him. He hasn't been closing in as much, obviously, so maybe Drew's kind of settled back down and been able to maintain that. I think the lap times will probably be pretty similar this time around.
Pretty close. Just over half a tenth. Not even. It's only going to take one more mistake, though, Chris. We've seen it twice now in the last handful of laps out of Drew Blaze. Something happened there in the S's, and then potentially turn 1 again. Cost him a ton of time. Man, Bradford is a monster on the brakes into the bus stop. Closes the gap considerably now. Half a second off the bumper.
A little bit wide there in that left-hander there for Drew. Gave Bradford the opportunity to close in even more.
Meanwhile, Alan DeFries with an issue off 11. I don't think anybody lifted there. Lap traffic could play a part here in this too. Leaders running some cars down. Jeremiah Holt not too far up the racetrack, 9 to go. I don't know, Chris. I don't know if Drew can hang on here.
It's going to be tough. 9 laps is a long time here, especially when you've got your competitor right there.
Yeah, he is right there.
On your spoiler. One thing I do know about these cars is they do move some air. So if Bradford can get up close behind him, even on like through the carousel or through the S's or something, he can really take that air off that spoiler, even at a road course. Really.
Best place really to do that, coming up through the S's when you're going that much faster. The hole in the air is pushed a lot larger than anywhere else on the track. If you can upset the handle on the lead car off of turn 4, make them lift, make them save the car, break the momentum down the backstretch, it can open the door for a pass into the bus stop. We've seen how good Bradford has been on the brakes, getting down into that bus stop. Might be a good opportunity. Yeah, Drew's really struggling in turn 1.
He did a good job getting up through the S's that time. Stretched it out. I mean, it's only about a tenth or so, but stretched it out just a little bit there. Keep Bradford off the spoiler. So if he can keep doing that, it's like you said, though, Bradford is better in turn 1 for sure.
Chris Klein behind David Bradford, shown in the 7th position. Likely just trying to learn a little bit behind the driver, that number 13, see where he's picking up pace, where he's losing time behind This might be a run here. I don't know if Holt's going to come into play. Bradford makes a move to the inside as they roll down the front stretch into turn 1. On the brakes, trying to outbrake Blaze. Can't do it. Hard on the brakes, David Bradford will have to set himself up another time. 7 laps to go.
I think that was a little bit of playing it safe, but also maybe a little bit of head games there for Bradford, maybe trying to force Blaze into a mistake by driving it in there on repeat and missing turn 1.
Definitely forced the lead driver to get in his own mirror right to the braking point. Take a shot. Maybe he misses that point of braking, getting down into turn number 1. They got away with it this time. Bradford had to check up, but now it's got Drew in his head saying, all right, I know I'm not the greatest in turn 1. Bradford's got a fast car, at least through 11, which is going to mean he's going to have momentum down the main straightaway into 1. So turn 1's a great place to pass anyway, but when you're not having a good time getting through there, it makes you even more vulnerable. Blaze quicker that time, likely threw a lot of that away in turn 1 the last lap for Bradford, but he's right there again, less than 0.3 of a second. Still going to have to worry about Jeremiah Holt, who is turning some decent laps himself, albeit he's going to be a lap down here momentarily. He's in the 6th position. But Holt's going to battle. He's going to try and stay on the lead lap. This is his right. We do have a potential for a caution. It can happen. They have full course cautions turned on, so he would get all of that track position back if he can stay out in front of Drew Blaze. Blaze took a peek underneath Holt there. Not able to get it done. Holt sets himself up now for turn 10. Blaze keeps it straight, gets alongside the 73. Bradford will follow him on through. I see a puff of smoke out of the 13, or did he run a little wide there?
Looked like maybe he went just a little bit wide. Hopefully it's nothing too serious or mechanical. I tell you what, he really sends it in getting into into those corners. He's so much heavier, like you've mentioned, under braking than Drew is. So he's really full sending it these last 5-6 laps.
I was going to say a couple of laps ago, Bradford was very quick to run down Drew Blaze once he started to see the mistakes and the weak spots of the 88. But now that he is there, and I don't know if it's dirty air that you mentioned, Chris, or if it's just that difficult to pass on these road courses, you really need the run. You really need the perfect opportunity to make that pass. I think Drew Blaze is doing a good job making sure he has the preferred lane. Bradford's going to need to come up with something special.
Well, he's in a good spot right here coming up through the S's to see if he can, see if he can make a run going into the bus stop. But as you see, Drew gets through the S's really well that lap.
Tough part is here, Chris, I think if Bradford got clear of Drew here, he would put some distance on him, but that's the hard part. You got to get around.
Mm-hmm. And you also got to think, he's been running hard to run him down and try and catch him and stuff too. So he's on older tires than Drew is. So how much has he abused those tires trying to get to him?
David Bradford's tires 8 laps older than the race leader Drew Blaze, but still keeping up pace-wise with the driver of the 88 as we now have 3 laps to go here from the Glen across the stripe. Blaze was quicker this time, first time in a while. Blaze with a big run down the back straightaway. Matt Nicholson real wide into the carousel, keeps it pinned down low. Thought that was going to end in disaster. Coming to 2 laps to go, current top 5. This is the battle for the race lead. Drew Blaze and David Bradford in 3rd. It's A.J. Rogers. Cole Ansley has battled back to 4th. Corey Bigley in 5th. Last car on the lead lap. Blaze faster still than Bradford. 2 to go.
A little bit of a wiggle there getting into the S's for Drew. We'll see if Bradford can take advantage of it going down towards the bus stop here this time.
Another wiggle for Drew off turn 4, entering the backstretch, but doesn't make a difference. David really not running him down too much, but a big mistake for Drew Blaze in the bus stop. He runs wide through the grass. Bradford goes wide through the carousel, so unable to capitalize.
Bradford did a good job of giving Drew some room there, and Drew did a heck of a job of not getting a penalty for cutting any of those corners either. Wow. So back to live to race another day.
Another lap through turns 10 and 11, coming to the white flag. One more lap to victory for Drew Blaze. Bradford one more lap to give it a shot to take it away. Oh, off turn 1, Chris Klein in trouble. We'll stay with the leaders. No caution to worry about. We're on the final lap here at the Glen. Up through the S's for the final time. Drew Blaze has had trouble through this first sector of the course. Even right down into the bus stop where David Bradford has been so strong. This last lap, is it on Drew's mind? Don't mess this up. Into the bus stop yet again. One more time. Real easy through there, and David Bradford loses it. David Bradford goes around into the carousel, giving this win to Drew Blaze as long as he doesn't make a similar mistake. Bradford gave it his all through the bus stop for that final attempt. It was his last opportunity, and to no avail. It comes around on him, a rare mistake out of David Bradford will secure the victory for Drew Blaze as he's through turn 11 for the final time, back to the main straightaway from a 5th place starting position to the win here at Watkins Glen. Looks like Bradford will survive and come back home into the 2nd spot, albeit 18 seconds behind. Blaze parks it down in the runoff of turn 1. Probably trying to catch his breath.
It was just a heck of a run there at the end of the race by those two guys. I know it didn't end as close as they were running, but that was really gutsy for both of those guys. Good to see.
Drew Blaze leading almost half the laps here this afternoon at the Glen. 23 laps of 50. A heroic performance to hold off one of the best in the series. That was a little throwback to Marcus Ambrose and Brad Keselowski. I think back in 2014, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just missing the rear end grease on the racetrack. Fab Shop's not going to like that.
Can't put you through your tech if all the fenders aren't on it.
This is true. Well, that wraps it up here at the Glen. We're going to step aside, get our final break out of the way. We'll have our top 3 finishers available after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics, LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens, UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Watkins Glen International, Finger Lakes 122 in the books, and dare I say, Chris, race of the year. I know I'm biased, but man, that was good.
Yeah, that was solid. It's probably been the one that I've enjoyed the most with me being in the booth.
Well, let's talk to our top 3. Drew Blaze taking it to victory lane here at the Glen. Let's get a word with our race winner. Drew, it's Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Drew, congratulations, man. A win on a road course, 5th place start, albeit by I rating due to some issue within qualifying, but not too bad track position to start things off, and a little differing pit strategy. You took just fuel on the first stop, got you back out in front, out of the melees behind you, and then made that final pit stop about lap 30. Took 4 tires. We were kind of thinking you were going to drag it out to the end, maybe take lefts and then the fuel that you needed, but the call was 4. David Bradford ended up taking fuel only, still ran you down and gave it his all, but a masterful job holding him off there at the end, and he made a mistake on that final lap, and you end up driving this thing into victory lane. Walk us through your race.
Yeah, it was a lot of, first me and Corey, and I forget who else was up there, but we were, battling it out, and I was just kind of letting them go out, and then we settled that out, and here, next thing I know, here comes, here comes Will, and he just flies past me, and I was surprised I was able to stay with him. I'm gonna be honest. He was quick. So it just with the differing pit strategy, my strategy was to short pit the fuel that I needed to get to be able to make it to the end on my next stop, and just make that final stop, and it kind of worked out. And I didn't know, I took tires because I saw that something happened to Will, and I thought I had a bigger gap on David, and it wouldn't be that close. So I kind of messed up there with my calculations, but it ended up working out.
Definitely worked out in the end. We saw a couple of near misses for you. Definitely one in the S's, maybe even two in the closing laps that allowed David really to close the gap. What all happened there, especially up through the S's?
Yeah, just me kind of pushing my limits, trying to push the car and not make a mistake in the process. And it's tough to do lap after lap. And, for being on a road course, I'm surprised I got to that point without making hardly any mistakes. So, yeah, just me just overdriving the car.
Keeping it between the grass is usually the best way for success here on these road courses. You did that for the most part here tonight, driving this thing into victory lane as we have an off week next week for our Super Bowl Sunday, but no more points racing for a couple of weeks because then we roll into all-star race mode for Charlotte Motor Speedway on February the 15th. Going to be a fun one for that, but Charlotte's a track that I believe, if I remember correctly, you're pretty fond of. Maybe wrapping this one up here at the Glen, maybe picking up an all-star win in Charlotte?
Yeah, that's the plan. I feel like we're just getting better and better every week, and kind of starting to figure these cars out as a team, and kind of what works and what doesn't with setups and strategy, and it's there's a whole lot that goes into it, and so I feel like we're not just one step behind most of these guys anymore, especially David. He always seems to be at least one or two steps ahead of us. So just very fond of mile and halves, and Charlotte's definitely one of my favorite tracks.
Well, certainly looking forward to it, Drew. Again, congratulations, a job well done picking up the win here at the Glen. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, of course, all my boys over at Lone Star Racing, especially Justin, Mike, Minnick, Ken Couch, all my guys, man. I wouldn't be able to do it without any of them. They keep me going here and keep me motivated. And I got to thank you and Chris here for broadcasting tonight and doing the broadcast as always. And the PRSA guys for running this thing. And it's been a lot of fun.
All right, Drew. Again, job well done. Thanks for talking to us, man. Enjoy the week off, and good luck at the All-Star race.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Drew Blaze, race winner here at the Finger Lakes 122. Next, we'll talk to the runner-up, David Bradford, with a mistake on the final lap. Didn't cost him a position, maybe cost him the win. He thinks he had a shot at it. Let's get his take on things. We'll pull the driver of the number 13 Crown Apple Toyota Camry into the broadcast booth. David, it's Steve and Chris. You got us?
Yeah, buddy.
David, congrats, man. Second place from a 15th place start. Obviously something going amiss in qualifying for, I think, everybody. Not sure the scenario there. So 15th place is where you started tonight's race. Certainly worked your way forward, up into that second spot, led some laps, but coming down to the finish here, you were right there on the back bumper of Drew Blaze. Gave it everything you had. You were so strong into the bus stop all race long, but a little issue getting out of the bus stop. Walk us through what happened.
Well, I was doing my best not to get into him or anything like that, because with the situation and points that I'm in, I'm just kind of, pointing my way through it. I wasn't going to run into him or nothing like that to try and get around him, because, that would have just taken us both out. That would have killed more points for me. But really, I missed my braking zone. I was a little bit better than he was in the bus stop, and that was the real thing on the last lap, is I didn't want to just run him over. and started braking a little too soon, turned into the right a little too soon. Then I had to correct, and I just bunny hopped that second curb there on the left and spun it out. But all in all, a good night. I mean, the qualifying thing, Bobby just hit a button and it forwarded it. Man, I don't know. I hate when stuff like that happens because now I got to deal with it this week. But shit happens, I guess.
Well, it worked out. I said it when we came back from our final break. This certainly seemed to be one of the best races of the year, if not race of the year. Not the place I expected it to see it, but you guys really put on a great show here at the Glen.
Yeah, Will was going to have a really good car and be really fast. He had a shifter issue. He's still using an H pattern. For whatever reason, the game started recognizing his third gear as his first gear, and then his first as his reverse. So he just couldn't get it figured out, so he went ahead and parked it.
Moving forward now, we're off next week for Super Bowl Sunday, and then we roll into Charlotte for the All-Star race. All holds barred next race at Charlotte, or what?
Kind of. I mean, we're going to go an old school format. We're going to run probably 10, 20 laps, eliminate a few, and, probably be a 3-segment deal. I just got to figure the rest of it out. But should be an interesting scenario. I think by the 3rd segment, there'll be maybe 10 cars left, so we'll see.
Looking forward to it, David. A job well done here tonight as a league owner, I guess, and as a driver. It's a great race here tonight. Congratulations. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Coach, got to thank everybody that's watching. Bobby, of course, even with his mistakes and his flaws and all that, he still shows up every week and keeps us going. Always looking at the future for next season and stuff like that. I think we got some more people looking to join up next season, so it's growing slowly but steadily. I mean, the good thing is we have a bunch of guys that, can get along with each other, talk through things. We had an issue at Talladega last week, and them 2 guys, I believe, talked through it. I mean, of course, Klein served his penalty today for what happened, but that's more important to me than anything. I don't care to have the fastest league. I don't care to have the, most competitive league. I care that things are clean and people are having fun and everybody can talk through it. So I appreciate that out of those guys.
Definitely good to have good communication. We look forward to that for the rest of the season and moving forward into the future to the next. David, congratulations again, man. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck in Charlotte.
Thanks, Steve.
David Bradford, runner-up here at the Glen. Next, we'll talk to last year's champion, the one of A.J. Rogers. We'll pull A.J. into the broadcast booth. A.J., it's Steve and Chris with Track Limits. You got us?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
It's going good, A.J. Job well done here tonight. Fast in practice. I think you're one of only a few drivers that were cracking that minute 9 territory in the practice session. Started this thing outside front row by way of, I think, maybe your lap time and a little bit of I rating as well, but things didn't quite work out. You dropped back pretty quickly, but through the cycle of pit stops and some adversity of others, you still finished in the 3rd spot. How does last year's champion feel about their finish here tonight at the Glen?
I'm definitely happy with it. Just recently started getting into road stuff and run a bunch of GT3 races and kind of prepared myself a little bit better this season for it, but still struggle. Need to get that first win off my back. I still haven't. It's been almost a season and a half now, but we'll get there. Just get past the road course and move on and keep getting it, see what happens.
Certainly all you can do. You survived this one with a top 3. That's something to be happy about. We look forward now with a week off next week, but then Charlotte Motor Speedway the next for the All-Star race. Any good plans to try and maybe take home an All-Star trophy to back up that championship one on the counter?
Just go have fun. That's all I want to do with it. It's going to be nice to have a little bit of a break and then go have a little bit of fun the following season and not have to put so much time in preparing and worrying about having a bad setup for being off and then hurting all your points that you earned the week before. So look forward to it and then get back at it.
We are also looking forward to it, AJ. Job well done here at the Glen. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Again, all my friends, all my buddies that race with me on here, they all know who they are. It's a mile-long list. It take forever to name everybody off. And y'all for putting on a good show, man. It's one of the nicest ones I've seen on iRacing in a long time, and appreciate what y'all do.
All right, AJ, thanks for the kind words, man. Good luck in Charlotte.
Thank you, buddy. Y'all have a good night.
Two. AJ Rogers, 3rd place here at Watkins Glen. That'll do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. So We'll wrap this up here. Take a look at our race results. Drew Blaze, David Bradford, A.J. Rogers, your top 3 finishers. Cole Ansley, told you he'd work a little strategy, even with a little adversity. Still finished in the top 5 in the 4th spot. Corey Bigley was 5th. Jeremiah Holt was 6th. Chris Klein, after a penalty, still came back to finish 7th. Brandon Minnick was 8th. Dominic Bettini was 9th. Steve Luttrell, after an early spin in the carousel, he'll finish top 10 in 10th. Alan DeFries with some off-track excursions as well. He finishes 11th. Josh Ingram was 12th. Ken Couch, 13th. Matt Nicholson was 14th. Justin Johnson finishes out in the 15th spot. Will Hewitt will take home the 16th spot. Vincent Short was 17th. Will Jones, 18th. Mark Truxell finishes in the 19th spot. 20th was Frank Griffith. 21st, Terry Wilson. Bobby Hamilton Jr. out early, 22nd, 47 laps down. Derek Runge, similar situation, 23rd. And Rodney Roberts will round out the finishing order in the 24th spot. That'll do it for us here at the Glen. Chris, I don't know, man. You know as well as I do. I love coming here in real life and in the broadcast side. It really has been a fun race to call. And again, maybe I'm just biased, but this was really a great race, especially coming down to that final run to the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the more entertaining ones that we've been a part of, at least that I've been a part of, for sure. I've always loved this place too. So I'm excited to see this momentum and the excitement carry over to the All-Star race in a couple of weeks there in my neck of the woods, Charlotte.
Going to be a fun one. I want to remind everybody, next week we are off. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to probably watch the Super Bowl and drink some beer and have some snacks, all the usual things that we do for Super Sunday. But we will be back in 2 weeks. Charlotte Motor Speedway, as Chris said, for the All-Star race. No points on the line for another 3 weeks from tonight, so stay tuned for that. But same channel, same time. Tune in about 8:45 Eastern time here at Track Limits Network. Like, follow, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications, all the usual social media stuff. If you haven't done it, help us out. Please do that. It's a big thing. It helps us quite a bit. Those like buttons get new users to jump in here and watch these broadcasts. It helps us. It helps the league, as David Bradford was talking about, getting some new drivers in here for next season. Sometimes that's where we find them. So help us out with that. It's free and easy, and we do appreciate it. With that said, for Chris Goins, I'm Steve Singer, congratulating David Bradford, winning the Finger Lakes 122 from Watkins Glen. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.